Those are kind of fun. I get
We're ready to
nervous.
get underway. Let's start with the prayer followed by the pledge. Father God, we turn our hearts over to you this morning. We're mindful and thankful for our country and the freedoms we enjoy. Pray for those that wear a badge and carry a gun and uniform for us. We pray you would keep them safe. We're mindful also of the business for the county before us, and we pray for wisdom and discretion and all you can do for us to do that which would be right in the eyes of our constituents. So add to this prayer, we pray in Christ's name. Amen. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Welcome, everyone. First item of business today is our minutes. They were sent via email. Any alterations or corrections?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Okay. Payroll calendar year 2020, which is payroll 19, totals $236,258.66. We had 238 claims totaling $920,432.95.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. FYI, about half of that was for Josh's highway department, so a lot of stone went down. So appreciate you staying on top of that. So first item of business, Scott, to you.
Morning.
Morning. Morning.
As of this morning, we have 77 inmates in jail. 23 of those are pretrial superior, 21 are pretrial circuit, 20 are F6, and 4 DOC. We have a bid for the Humvee. Previous bid was $4,500. This one is $4,550. So,
Same person or different person?
well, it's two people going back and
Gotcha.
forth. This one likes to go up 50.
They're going to lose all their
We'll see.
profit. They keep bidding this out for a year.
I know. So, back to Lisa. The only other thing I have currently is Amoresco is continuing to move forward. They were out last week doing some assessments on the air handlers and HVAC system. They're coming back this Friday to spend some time out there, I believe, doing a basically a water study and some other stuff as part of the RFPQ, whichever one that was, of moving forward. So so that's definitely in the works and going through. We pretty much all the stuff we had through the CARES Act, the body scanner, and all those things. The training's all complete since the last commissioners meeting. We are currently using those items and in the facility. So other than that, I don't have anything else to report at this time.
Sheriff, just briefly, I know working with Amoresco and talking in terms of maybe some CARES money with some options that might be beneficial to you in the future.
Yeah, with the lack of isolation, the jail was designed to have 3 medical observation cells. Obviously, with the COVID and how we've had to adapt through isolating inmates from the general population upon their intake, it's kind of, we have some holding tanks. They're not necessarily made like a cell or a medical observation cell would be. So we were looking at the possibility. We've been talking with Elevatus, which is a architectural firm, to say what if we did a remodel, so to speak, on our intake area. What would that look like? What would the cost be? It would be totally COVID related, which would fit the criteria. There were some conversations had with the IFA and Barnes and Thornburg to say, would this fit if it fell within the realms of what we're looking at as far as what the county has left in CARES Act money. Though they assured us that that was right in line with the things that would fall within that. So preliminarily, we've contacted them and kind of pitched them our idea to say, what if we, you know, redid our intake area and added more medical observation cells in there. Even pre-COVID, sometimes we get, we call a permanent resident that may take up one of those cell blocks for quite a time. So it was a problem, you know, on occasion when we would deal with space with those type of things. So we're kind of waiting to hear back and see how that would fall in line. And we've kind of kept them in contact with Amoresco because of the project that they're looking at and working on there as well. So definitely very preliminary, but obviously putting some fast track on it because we don't know the CARES Act money at this point is going to be at the end of the year. So or needs to be used. There's talk that it'll get extended out into March. I have not heard that that's happened yet. But so we're kind of trying to see what that is. Obviously, that would be a reimbursement like the other stuff is through CARES. But if we're able to maybe benefit from that in the jail to help with what we're dealing with on new intakes, it'd be great. So,
No, I appreciate that, and they've kind of been keeping contact. I know some of you too, and keeping me in the loop on that with everybody involved. So I appreciate that
yeah.
for the
So
assistance.
I kind of wanted to have all my things prepared to say, hey, here's what we're looking at.
Right.
You know, you guys oversee the building and those type of things. So I have kept that out there, but wanted to have all that information so I can bring it back and say, here's what it would cost, here's what we could use for CARES Act, and then kind of see where those two numbers fall. I have a feeling, you know, with the cost of construction anymore, that a little bit can be a lot. So we're trying to wait back from word from them, just on a kind of a preliminary cost of what that would be, to see if it falls in line with what we have left over so far. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Very
Thanks,
good.
Sheriff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks. All right. Josh, we have you next.
Thank you so much.
Morning. Basically almost the same as last week. We did get everything serviced up from Chip and Seal. Durapatcher's out doing several spots. Just we'll continue to do that probably until the weather doesn't allow us to. There's just, with all these detours, a lot of roads are blowing out and stuff, so we're staying on top of those. Hand patching crew is still up north. Last week we were able to go through most of our south notes and get those taken care of. So that same south backhoe crew will cover the north. There's a couple jobs popped up this weekend, but either way they're both working pretty good. Our hand patching crew, we've got a lot of calls. A lot of people don't realize 301 or 700 East is now ours. We are hand patching it, which is loose stone everywhere. We've got a lot of calls about that. We are brooming that road every couple days once the stone, but I mean, our new road was far from new, and I mean, it took a week and we're from 124 to Creighton. So I mean, that road was a mess, and we're patching it because we will then chip and seal it next year. So we're trying to get on it before winter, because if we wait, it will be even worse than it already is. Mowing side ditches, preparing for winter. Like I said last week, we'll do 2 passes on that. And then our normal corn message, just make sure corn's cut back at intersections for the young drivers and some old.
Even me?
Yeah.
Man.
No, I
You can get
didn't say.
clipped pretty quick.
I didn't say any names. But other
I
than
won't
that,
say the farm. It
Yeah.
was close.
yeah, we're getting close for harvest, but it's just there's still some intersections that are a little tricky. We just want to make sure. But other than that, between patching, our hand patching crew and backhoe, that's kind of everyone, all hands on deck, just getting things. And like I've said to those on gravel roads, once we get a little rain, some moisture, we will grade gravel roads. But right now, we're going to do nothing but scoot around gravel on top and not fix anything.
Right.
So,
Good deal.
all right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Nate, can you make it that short?
If only. They will not be a short review for me, unfortunately. Too many things came up all of a sudden, so I've got a lot to talk about. One is just an update on the Bridge 193, the heat straightening and painting there on 300 West. The painting was delayed to this week. It'll start on Tuesday. Paint should be completed within the next 2 weeks, and so we'll get notice out to the media and to the public as far as when that road, the determination will be made to open that up to the traffic. I have authorized Shamball and security pros to proceed with a temporary camera installation on a pole near the final permanent installation. The foundations, the concrete foundations were actually poured last week, and actually the overhead electric and the poles are in place. So right now I'm just working with security pros to get that turned on, and then we'll have at least a camera up in the meantime until the final gantry system will go in. So you'll see kind of a transition happening between what you see in the next 2 weeks and then what will finally go up in probably November.
So
Timeframe.
you anticipate roughly October 5th open?
Actually, yes, it'd be sometime then or hopefully sooner than that, but I'm trying to give myself a little contingency here as far as schedule, because I haven't had a good scheduled time frame from the painter yet. So
Gotcha.
I've gotten general statements, and so I don't want to promise that
Understood.
being brought out.
Understood.
When we open the bridge to traffic, and this is just a note for a future meeting, we will have to revise the weight limit ordinance, because I think there's a weight limit ordinance restriction and ticket that's supposed to be in place, so we'll have to revert that back to whatever is the determined load limit for the bridge. And also, because we've been modifying the bridge and the gantry, we may want to just change that to a height restriction, so no oversized loads beyond a certain limit, and then those would be subject to a ticket. So there may be some wording, and Roy and I can talk about changes for that. That can happen about the time for your next meeting. So that'd be something we'd want to be able to do at that time. So, and I actually have a meeting with USI to punch that bridge out after this. So we'll be going through that, and so a lot of adjustments. It should be, we're in the home stretch now for that. Bridge 304, White Bridge, we just close all the busy roads, don't we?
Yeah.
The bridge deck has been milled and hydro demo was completed last week. Working on the removal of the approach slabs right now. Joint locations will be replaced, so that's the big part of the schedule. Steel's already on site for that. I believe we discovered why we were having the pothole issues. It appears that the part of the steel members were lifted up during the pour, so there really wasn't much cover. When we actually milled the bridge deck, we actually hit rebar, where there should be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches of embedment for the steel. There was less than 1/2 inch in some places, so we ended up pulling steel out, the deck in a couple spots. So that's going to be addressed. I certainly, as just a note of safety, because this is so close to the trails and other public spaces, please resist the urge to try to cross the bridge, because there are going to be areas that are opened up on the bridge where there will be no deck at all. So certainly there's fall hazards and risks. All the necessary barricades and warnings are in place, but certainly during weekends and evenings, I just would encourage everyone to please stay off the project, just for their own safety. I don't want anybody to get hurt playing around on the project when there's no one there or when there is somebody there. Just a note here, we're going on to sewer district. As their board is moving forward into next year, there's potential for apply for more funds. If they have other areas studied and projects ready for future designs, that's certainly going to assist them in securing funds for other projects beyond just the Liberty Center and Murray projects that they have today. I have for you a proposal provided by Choice One Engineering to the sewer district. The sewer district is asking if the commissioners would be willing to grant the funds, the match money, well, not even match money, essentially the money for the study or studies, depending on how they would proceed with those. There are 5 separate areas in the project, or that the RSD is looking at. Let me look at which areas specifically are in that.
Right, and you were going to contact the health department
Yep.
to rank them in those priorities.
Correct. There is, I think I gave that to you, so I don't have that here with me. Oh, no, here it is.
I know Kingsland and
Yep, there's
Craigville and
Kingsland, Craigville's actually already been studied.
Right.
So we already have a preliminary engineering report for that. They're looking at areas such as Kingsland, Keystone, Petroleum, Toxin, and Ripesburg. And those are the general areas, and how could they sewer those areas? The preliminary engineering report is a requirement of SRF for scoring and ranking of those for eligible funds. So certainly it's a necessary step. If you were to do all 5 areas together, Choice One is offering to do that for a total of $22,500. If we were to do them a la carte, they're essentially $6,000 a piece. So, I mean, essentially getting more than 1 1/4 of them for free if you were to do them all in one group. Obviously, that's a lot of project area, so I don't think that it would be feasible for the sewer district to do all of them at once. So some of these will have to essentially set on the shelf for a time. How long each one is valid is a good question. In talking to the health department, they're recommending that we proceed with the Toxin and Kingsland. If we're going to prioritize those 2 would be hot button areas to analyze. So I'm just bringing that up. I don't need a decision today. Certainly it's something that the sewer district would need assistance to study that. They can't use certainly the fees that they would generate from connecting to other customers. They wouldn't have the revenue to take that to study these. So these will be part of the development of future service areas. So I wanted to bring that up. Certainly it's something for discussion.
So even though it's a savings, if we do them all, then we may not use them all, so is it really a savings?
That's the question. It's how fast are we intending to move forward? I think the sewer district has been eager to try to see some projects done. The board members I have right now certainly would like to see other projects. A question I received early on when we received the funds for the 2 service areas was, well, could we have gotten more? Yes, but we would have had to have more projects ready to go. So this is kind of an effort to make sure that we have as many areas ready to move as we can.
Can you find out from SRF the time frame that this would be good for? What's her name? I can't.
Yeah, we've been working with Vicki Perry with
Vic-
RCAP, so she might know.
Vic Mead or is it McGough? Jim McGough?
I think so.
Or is it all about money? Like if we
Well-
do the study and we get the money, then we can do them, or is this simply, or is it more than money? We wouldn't have the resources to do it even if we had the money.
It's a little bit of our own resources. I mean, some of what we'd have to do is what areas, because right now we don't exactly know what each area would cost or if it's even feasible to sewer. Because some of the areas we're looking at feasibility. So the preliminary engineering report just looks at it. I mean, I'll use an example. I'll use Rifesburg as an example. It may be a situation where trying to take sewer from Rifesburg, say, to Pinedo isn't even feasible. And so the study may come up that it's just not cost effective without other things to happen. And so then the sewer district is able to prioritize projects, not just on a health concern, but also from a cost effectiveness and how many customers can they get. And so they may shuffle some projects around based on the results of that analysis. So none of these are guaranteed to be sewered. It's certainly not a guarantee of a priority as to when they would be sewered through the district. It's just, that's just the next natural step to get them.
But Toxin and Kingsland possibly could go to Norwell Schools line or south to Lancaster School.
I think the interest is to, when you're going from Toxin over to Kingsland, once you've crossed the tracks, it's something that we're going to consider with Bluffton because of the Murray sewer. Now that we have the sewer all the way over to Murray, we would have it under one treatment agreement with Bluffton, so it'd be an option for that. There's options for Toxin to go east over to Adams County. They're going to have sewer all the way out into the Preble area, so that's an alternative. And then it's also an option potentially to take Toxin down to Craigville if we can get a treatment agreement established with Bluffton. So those are all things that are kind of in play. The PER essentially drafts the game plan on how to tackle each of those areas.
Which one makes
Yeah,
sense?
which one
It might
makes
actually
sense?
make more sense to do them all, even if we can't afford to do them all.
Because you,
Study them all.
yeah, you at least
We can
have,
prioritize until
But if
we
it sits
can't
on
do
a
them.
shelf for 10 years and they say that's no good anymore, we go back and spend more money to do the same thing.
Yeah, but if you're gonna do 2 of them that you know you need, that's 6,000 already.
Right.
So we're only having a difference of $10,000 that we get, even if it's that much more.
Right.
yeah, the benefit of having the PER, and I mean, not to promote doing all of them, but the benefit of the PER, even though, for example, we had DLZ's preliminary engineering, excuse me, even though we had DLZ's preliminary engineering report from 2002, it certainly was essentially an addendum to the plan that we put together, and the cost of the project certainly was reduced. So even if you have an old study, one benefit was you simply know what's the best option, or at least you have a game plan moving forward if it's 5 years, 10 years. The scoring from the preliminary engineering reports, I believe, is good for, it's a number of years. I thought it was two minimum, but I thought it was as good as long as 5 years through SRF. But don't quote me on that. I think that might be a far window for that. But if you're ranking projects, they don't want to rescore them over and over and over again. They'll score them once and then put them on the list, and then new projects will get scored and slotted in there. So,
Bring this up to the next
sure.
meeting and we can act on it.
I want you to think about it. This is still very early on. We've got a lot to do with this sewer district right now and getting 2 other projects in the ground. But I think there's some interest. Well, how do they move forward on other areas? Well, this is the first step. Certainly more time is better for them. So I don't want to let that set if I could. All right. So with that, on to the next race we have Community Crossings Matching Grant. The state of Indiana has issued a notice that the second call for grant funds is back on, and we're eligible for up to an additional $518,000 and some change in grant funds because we didn't use everything that was allotted to us on our 2 projects, and there was additional funds. We can apply for more grant funding here. The application's open September 25th. It closes October 23rd. I'm anticipating applying for just 1 project in this. Previously, I had discussed applying for funds for Bridge 99. But due to that project's overall cost and the 2 roads, I think it's going to far exceed our number, so we'd be obligated to a lot more local match for that.
Right.
So I'd rather just push that. I think I'd send each of you an email kind of notifying you of that change. What I am looking at is apply for Bridge 121. It's a bridge that's actually in design. Engineering Resources have already started on that. I had a meeting with them last week with their estimates. They feel that they can meet that deadline as far as having construction documents ready. I already have their engineering estimate, and I actually have a letter, a financial commitment letter drafted for you if you're willing to commit to that.
Motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
That's this document.
Yes, that's what that is there. And then we're going to be going on to, next piece is the Ndot federal aid call for projects. Ndot's advertised for federal aid projects for fiscal year 2026. That application time period is going to start here after that October, so we'll be in November through December for that. I'm looking at applying for 3 different bridges in addition to the County Road 200 South project that we're also discussing. The 3 bridges, 2 of them are kind of bundled, but I'll talk about the first one here. Bridge 71, it's a poor 3-span bridge on County Road 200 West, the south part, little south central part of the county. Prior to the application, I am asking for approval on an engineering assessment of the structure. A big key for federal aid projects is coming up with a good time frame for funding as far as construction engineering and inspection estimates for that sort of a job. And I've asked USI to consider providing a proposal for that. They're offering to use $5,000 from a previous contract. We're actually going to take $5,000 out of what's already allocated to them on inspection services on Bridge 193 that are not going to be used and applying them to this. So it's essentially, it's just we're moving money from our left hand to our right in this. But they're offering to do that, an assessment of that project for $5,000. And we have a proposal from them for that.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0.
The other project, I'll call them, Bridge 170. It's a poor bridge due to foundation and scour. It's on 900 South east of Domestic. This bridge, for similar reasons, I want to try to perform an engineering assessment on that to establish both a budget schedule and fees for that project. This one's different because it's got a kind of a sister bridge associated with it. So it's got Bridge 19, which is right on the county line road.
It's right around the corner.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. If anybody that's familiar with that area will realize that the carpet of corn stalks and debris that is collected on those roads, it floods 800 east, it ends up flooding all the way on to 900 south. So the 2 bridges in concert just aren't functioning. One hydraulically is poor, the other one in condition is poor. I want to address them both together. So my goal is to apply for federal funds for those at one time. I'll keep talking over it, so as the trash truck is just banging around out there. Sorry. So to do that, Butler Fairman actually has done some hydraulic work as part of kind of a gift, a refund to us over some other issues. But they are offering to finalize an engineering assessment for those 2 structures for $3,000 for that project. And then I've got a proposal for that as well.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0.
Sorry. So, short update, speed limit ordinance, I'm working with the city to get on their agenda. It sounds like I'll actually be meeting with them next week on their agenda to talk about the speed limit ordinance, see what input they have. I've got some notes from the highway department as well, so we'll be moving that forward here, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then I don't know if we have any right-of-way dedications. Did you receive any? One. I got one. Here you go. From area plan.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Hey, Nate, I'd like to go back to item 1 on the Bridge 193. When you
Yes.
talk about the gantry,
Yes.
have you ordered the nameplate for that?
Naming the gantry?
Yes.
No, we have not named the
Okay, 'cause,
gantry.
yeah, I just want to make sure that possibly that Commissioner Robbins had the gantry naming rights for that.
Yes, well, I'm sure for a small monetary donation or just
Good, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that was out there.
certainly this was that project. I fully expect that when the final system goes in, you're going to get a lot of calls about it because it's going to look a little bit different out there. But the combination of the early warning and the monitoring is going to provide both advanced kind of protection and security for the citizens. So I think the combination is going to work out really well. It's just going to come down to execution of that. So I'm looking forward to that project getting finalized.
Come up with some good names.
Oh, this.
Oh, I just think a sign prior to that, if you want to lose your upper plate, if you don't want to lose your upper plate, stop
Yeah. So,
prior to hitting it.
oh, there's all sorts of joke fodder out there for that too. So I'm sure it could be a lot of fun. So with that, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nate.
Yep, thank you, Nate. Appreciate it. All right, Craig is out of the room, but Lynn is here.
Well, good morning, all.
Morning.
I am here just to answer questions. I know you guys have kind of dealt with the AED proposal. Mr. Johnson has come up with documentation on that and update. Greg did a lot of the legwork on this. I think he had a 10 o'clock meeting. I don't know if he's still out there or not, but anyway, if you have any questions, I know I'm here to kind of accept. I know we've talked about maybe accepting some responsibility with the AEDs. So
The biggest thing for me was the training, the qualified people that are to do it.
Right.
And I think most of the documentation I read met that standard, so I don't know if you each had questions or.
No, I
It's a
don't.
matter of coordinating. and
Correct,
Making sure
yeah.
that you were
Yeah.
aware that that was part of it and
Yeah,
going to
yeah.
do that before we
Add that
just
to
slapped
the
it on
list.
you.
Yep, that's all right. No, I mean, there are, obviously with the American Heart Association and the AED training, we would probably partner with them or even with the local EMS, already having that capability to train people. So, yeah.
I'm good. Do you have anything else for us, folks?
I draw one. You just.
Okay, I have
Motion
two,
to approve the ordinance
2020-09.
2020-09.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn.
All right, and Lisa had a resolution. The tax deferral.
Yes, Roy prepared that.
I brought one if you didn't.
I have two,
All right.
but that would be 2020-10,
2020.
if you would like to.
Motion to approve
We'll second that.
ordinance 2020.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
3-0. Can I move to judge next? Carry it off.
Come on.
Come on.
Morning.
Morning. See something in the middle.
Your Honor.
I'm just
here today to receive your approval to pursue federal grant through the Coronavirus Emergency Supplemental Funding Program offered through the U.S. Department of Justice, and then locally in Indiana through the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute. All Indiana counties are eligible to receive funding. Wells County is eligible to receive up to $63,168.08. It is not a matching grant. It is just a grant that's given out through the Department of Justice to reimburse counties for costs associated with coronavirus. Ultimately, it's my understanding that the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute is the one that approves all expenditures from the grant that we would submit to them. Things I'd like to pursue with the grant money, reimbursement for things that we already have expended money on. For example, when we kind of slowed down and closed down, we kind of rotated our staff and minimized the amount of staffing here. So we had employees working from home. We bought computers, things like that, to allow that to happen. So getting reimbursement for that. When we have jury trials, because of the size of the number of people we need to bring in to ensure that that's done safely, we're going to use an off-site location to bring in the larger jury panel until we get it narrowed down to a jury pool, or to an actual jury, 12-person jury. And so this will be used to any expenses of the rental of the facility, audio-visual equipment, computers, recording equipment that we would need to have an off-site trial, and then also the money can be used in conjunction with other agencies. So, for example, trying to improve or create, for in the case of Superior Court, the ability to have remote hearings, allow them to not bring people over from the jail who may be there, so they're not brought over. And Sheriff has a system where he's kind of quarantining people when they first come into the jail, and so we continue to establish that procedure. And minimize, and then also perhaps pursue the use of allowing attorneys increase the use of attorneys talking to their clients remotely at the jail rather than having to go in, which is the risk of spreading virus to jail.
So, Judge, what would dictate, our 63,000 versus a county like Hamilton County that is the largest receiving funding county in the state?
I don't know how this was calculated. I don't know how we got 8 cents came on. I have no idea how they came up with that funding.
Okay.
I assume it has to do with the filing, case numbers and things like that. How the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute came up with their criteria. I don't know.
Okay.
Hey, but some are getting none, so.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I make a motion to approve of the grant.
Yeah, and there's no
request.
guarantee we'll ultimately get approved from
I'll
them.
second
It's
that.
just
I gotcha.
pursue it.
I'll second that.
Thanks.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right.
Thank you.
You won't get it if you don't apply.
Yeah, that's exactly
Right.
it. And I've got a letter for you to sign, I think.
You don't need us to sign one of these, do you? Or yes? Or
I
do you-
have the
You
original, and I have the
okay.
original. So here's the letter, and then I was told to fill this out as well.
All right, Commissioner President. So, you also need Council President?
No.
No.
Thank you.
You need this, right, this?
Did you sign that?
I did.
Okay, yep, I need that. Yep, thank you.
Sure, thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you.
Right here is where I need your signature. Right there. No. Here's a pen. There you go. Thank you so
I
much.
sent one of those, so. Have a good day, thank you.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Chad, take you next.
Morning.
Morning.
I'm here on behalf of the Bluffton Redevelopment Commission to request the authorization to provide them with jurisdiction of an area that they are looking to create an expanded TIF area. The TIF area that's going to be expanded is the Adams Street TIF area, and that is to go east of the Adams Street TIF area currently, which incorporates the Valero ethanol plant. So it'll go straight east from there to encompass the Jason Industrial Park, and then the area south of the Jason Industrial Park down to 200 South. Currently, the plan is that what this can be allow for the TIF to be allows them to use funds within the current TIF area rather than creating a new TIF area. To create a new TIF area, it would need investment in that area before it ever started seeing funding to be able to utilize for projects. By expanding the current area, it takes current funds and makes them available as well in this area. So once the TIF is created, it'll lock the it'll lock the baseline assessed value. So every bit of the assessed value that is currently there will continue to go to the governmental bodies. Any new investment that would come is likely going to be from the ability that the TIF has presented. So if you look at a lot of the projects that have happened recently, the Antigua project, the 2020 expansion, all of those were happened because of TIF. So this will give that area that opportunity to have that tool in the place so that we can incentivize projects in that area as well. And then be able to put forth some current funding within the current Adams Street TIF towards the the 200 South project, should that project be awarded. So you'll see there are 7 parcels that are currently within the county that are within the area that they're looking to designate as an expansion to the TIF of the total area there. So again, we would request your approval that again just gives them that authority to allow for them to TIF that area.
And who is in control of that TIF?
The Bluffton Redevelopment Commission.
Which is, and technically, the entire Bluffton City Council.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. As well as a member of the Bluffton School Board,
Correct.
although it's a non-voting member.
And they serve as our RDA anyway, right? I mean, they take care of all the TIFing and, because it's
Currently-
always going, because we haven't said it.
Correct. You guys do not
Right.
have a redevelopment commission
Right.
at this point, so
But
the
we
hope is
should
that you will at some point in
strongly
time.
put
Right.
together something in
Right.
the next
Yeah.
12 months. Roughly.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I've encouraged Blake, especially as we look at the Adams Street project coming to,
The Tracks
I'm sorry,
project.
the Hoosier Highway, whatever it ends up being called, looking around that area again as an area that should be studied for a TIF heading south on the new Hoosier Highway or Adams Street, whatever it ends up being called. So it would make sense to start that study to understand what the impacts could be. TIF is it's a tool that's being utilized. Every community has tax abatement. Some people use TIF in different ways, and it's worked out well for us for landing projects and putting infrastructure in the ground and making things happen in the area. So the reason for, again, expanding the current TIF is to be able to access and utilize monies that are currently in the TIF. If we were just creating a new area, it would not be able to fund or have any funds available for the 200 South project.
So you're asking for us to approve it? As
You would approve whatever the resolution number is that.
we have to wait till agreement comes through, or just
This would
because the
be,
agreement is different than this?
correct. The
correct.
agreement is
Two-
completely different. This essentially says that you are assigning the jurisdiction of the county's area to the city's redevelopment commission for the purposes set forth in this act, and that then allows them to
Right.
TIF that area. And then the agreement, because I don't know that they can even, I mean, they could make an agreement, but if it doesn't go out into 200 South, it might be difficult for them to approve that agreement. We think we can because we could probably articulate that this project will benefit the current TIF area, but to make it cleaner, it makes more sense to put it in the TIF area.
Right. Yeah, I don't have any problems with that.
I would make the motion that we approve of that request.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Do you have a resolution number?
2020-11.
Just doing resolutions all
I
day.
brought
3,
copies.
right?
Resolve.
Auditor McCormick?
Yeah, that's true. We're filling these right up.
believe, just so you guys also, the next step for the creation of the TIF is for the redevelopment commission to introduce the language. So right now, the TIF area is not a done deal. This is the first step to starting that process. The next step, the redevelopment commission next Tuesday will introduce the ordinance. Then it will go to the area plan commission for them to approve of that ordinance, and then it goes to the city council for them to approve all the initial steps that have happened. Then it goes to a public hearing, and then by the end of October, as long as everybody continues to agree with this process, the TIF area will then be established.
Set up it in a way that we can acquire and attract businesses. That's the whole key.
Absolutely. I think this gives us just another tool to be able to do things out there, especially, there's a current building in the adjacent industrial park that needs a significant amount of work to it to attract a business into it. And right now, we have no money, no tools currently to be able to provide funding for that, for any project that would take place there. So this will give us that tool to be able to do that as well. So it's the last real building we have available in the county.
Can we talk about annexation and that going out with annexation?
Not currently, but the likelihood is if a project would take place, that would probably be part of the discussion. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep, thanks, Chad.
Thank you. All right. Monthly reports.
Okay, I'll have it recorded. Thank you. Did you want to talk about the auto renewal for the farm?
County farm. Does that go to Lisa?
Can we check aye for both of these?
Yeah.
There's two, TV.
What's our deadline, October the 1st?
October 1st. I set up my phone, so I asked Roy about it.
And I responded.
Right, so our next meeting, so we have to basically discuss it and act on it today, because unless we do it in the executive session.
I think at least electing not to auto renew gives you some protection against it. I'm just saying.
Right.
That's part of the decision.
You did good, they did.
Part of the decision as to the future,
Concentrating.
in case that came up. To sell it, you'd have to have public hearing and council approval. So there's things that would need to get done if you're going to make it available for the purchaser to farm next season. I mean, you can always sell it without that, but they just don't get the right to farm it for another year, but that may be a damper on the sale. You don't have to decide that today, obviously, but
No, if we decide not to auto renew, what does that put us into, another bidding process?
then he doesn't automatically have a right to farm it next year. His lease is canceled as the end of this year.
And in the next
You can
7
still
years.
rent it to whoever you want, including him, or sell it. It's just to
So
avoid
we don't have
having
to
it.
bid it if we choose to rent it to him, if we just delay it.
Right, so if we choose that option, we can choose to let him continue to rent it, or we have to put it on the public and bid it out.
You might have to do that.
Judge K, take his copy.
I would think we have
I'm gonna have you guys sign this one, so I have a copy.
On that, that's what we automatically renewed last time was to.
But he would still.
But didn't we put a thing in that last year that if we do sell it, that it
You do have in the addendum to the lease, there is a provision that you can cancel it by deciding to sell it, but that's canceling effective as of the end of the year, which is sell it.
next year?
Yeah.
But fertility, would he have to provide the fertility study in December, even with the risk of not getting it bid again? Or
Well, if you're
if you're canceling the lease, the first fertility study ought to be done, just so you know
Right.
what it is. You can't wait 3
But
years.
I think it was his responsibility, if I'm not mistaken, as in the contract, but maybe not,
To arrange for it or bring it up to that.
to bring it back to.
I think
Yeah.
the reason we did the auto renew the 1 year in the original contract was to time it, because we had a 3-year lease and a 4-year fertility thing. So we were trying to sync it all up with this year being the year that it was due, if I remember correctly. So this is the year it was due. I don't know who was supposed to pay for it.
Right. I'm just trying to think what gives us the most flexibility.
Well, if you don't give the notice, it's automatically renewed.
Right.
It still could be terminated by selling it. But you're
it's a
probably
farm.
talking about the purchaser being able to farm it starting in 2022.
But are we even going to know anything before then anyway? Does it matter to let him have it for a year? I'm just trying to keep it so we don't have to go through the whole process.
Right.
But I
You
don't
know,
care.
We don't have,
Did it.
we don't have a site. We don't have any of the plenary studies for a building. What do you
Yeah, so,
think?
I mean, it's gonna-
Kev, do you have any input on this?
Good with whatever. I mean, basically what you said last year when we offered the opportunity, we did something with the land. So, I don't really.
Do
have
we know what the
opinion on that.
payer rate is right now? Is it up, down, the same? That's what it's based on, right?
Nick?
Well, that number is available. I sent that out. I don't have that on the top of my head now. but-
It was slightly higher than last year, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
226 to 242.
My recollection of the pair study was values went up, but that's pre-COVID, so I thought
Right.
it might go back down.
I don't know.
I could go either way, I'm just trying to.
We have until next meeting to work on, right?
No.
We don't.
October
Not on giving
1st.
notice.
That's why, from now on, we ought to coincide the deadline with the
Okay.
commission meeting. That puts
Well,
us
we can
like
do
4
that.
days apart, from the 1st to the 5th.
Okay, at least I put it in my phone to remind us about it.
Exactly.
And the easiest thing is to auto renew unless you want to free it up for next year's farming for somebody else.
Right.
And if we haven't even started negotiations, is it really going to make that big a difference? I don't
Right.
know.
Well, the decision
Or-
of selling the farm
or
and
when's
the
the
construction
first-
of highway garage aren't necessarily always have to be interlinked.
When's the first crop, this is a dumb question because I don't have a farmer here, when's the first crops come off? Does it have to be the end of the year or could it be after the first crop, like depending on if he did wheat or something at the beginning, could it be July or August or something instead of December?
Yeah, I don't think he's
I
ever
don't know.
put wheat in. I think normally he's done beans or corn, so I doubt it'll be
Corn would be
a,
the end, but
right.
just asking dumb questions out loud.
No, I understand.
So do the auto renew.
That and lose your ability to sell it clean, or otherwise we're in the bid process. And if we go to the bid process, we're gonna bid it out, we're either gonna have to let it sit, we wouldn't even bid it, we would let it sit there empty, is what we would be doing. Because if we bid it, it's the same thing. Or somebody would be farming it. So
think-
it's either not do anything.
I think your
let it sit empty.
consideration is what kind of a drag would you have on a potential buyer if he knew he wasn't going to be able to farm it till the next year? Is he going to pay that much less to buy it? Maybe not.
Because if we sell it, we're selling the whole thing, right? Is that the idea? We're not selling, that's what we had it before, was we were keeping the right to sell a portion of it last time.
Correct,
This time,
just for a
it's
site.
more or less all enough.
Right.
Because right now, we're not really in a position where we're, I guess, I
I
still
don't
think.
think you want to, I don't think you want to set it empty for a year.
No, I think,
I think
my
we
thoughts
sell
are I auto renew it.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be the cleanest, gives us time, but I think also check
But
your
then he still
ear,
has until October
observing
1st
that's
to
our intention
cancel
is
also.
long-term not
Right.
to be an asset for the county, that it can be used in a better way for a highway garage site possibly, you know.
I understand.
Yeah, the rate of
Thoughts?
return coming back to the county has been dropping. So,
Thanks, Chuck.
okay. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Okay. All right. What else?
We have denim for Difference Week. We do this every year for the United Way. All the proceeds go to the United Way. She would like to have us do it October 12th through the 16th and November 16th through the 20th. They propose that the employee to wear jeans for each day for that week, that they pay $5 for one day, 10 for 3, and 15 for all 5, but you guys have always said just $2 a day.
And I would agree with the $2 a day.
Motion? All-
Second.
Or second, or whatever. That was a motion.
That
I'll
was a-
second
Sure
it.
was.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we are running an ad for the Property Tax Board of Appeals, and I haven't received any applications back as of yet.
Did
Okay.
you find out anything further about whether that's a possibility with double lucrative
Lucrative type of,
office?
I haven't, other than what I've already told you, that since I researched that for county council, I thought, you're talking about Rick Smith being on Peterbilt,
Right.
I think that would be 2 lucrative offices.
Well, at the time, it was kind of like, didn't know if it was or not. So now it is, we pretty are sure it's.
I haven't done any more, but I haven't changed my mind about it
Okay.
being a lucrative office.
lucrative?
It sounded a little more tentative than that. Very good. We'll keep looking.
Off the top of my, I got an email, alcohol board, anybody?
No.
Okay. I just got an email asking what our position is, if we got somebody.
Do we need to run that ad again?
You were an option, but you have not lived in the county for 5 years.
Right, you're allowed.
I was gonna say, if we keep waiting,
Happy to do it.
I'll see if I can stall them that long, or if they wanna,
See if we get a legislative change.
there you go.
That's the
All right.
point, 5 years.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. I don't,
Makes no sense.
all right, I have nothing else. You?
No. AIC conference, virtual right now, starting.
Okay. Okay.
The only other thing I have is, and I'm reminded because of the post, the notification of the tax sales, property tax sales, is that I talked with the county treasurer about, there's a number of properties that haven't sold, keep repeating, and I think we want to, at least she and I thought it would probably be good to get these off the unproductive rolls and get them sold. A number of these properties are probably not ever going to sell at tax sale because of city liens. Like they demolish a building and so there's a $17,000 assessment against what is now a bare lot in the city. But there are options for the city to claim a tax sale certificate within, I think, 6 months of the sale, and if they don't, then the county commissioners can and sell it. But that's, will come with a little more idea as to what to do and how to do it, and whether SRI, I think, will do that at what cost to get these properties sold.
Well, let's get a list and have a conversation about what we're talking about, and whether they're in the county and the city and all the sewer assessments and that kind of stuff, so. Okay. Around the room. Okay,
Motion adjourned.
we are done.
Second.
Thank you, everyone.